So now you understand what embodiment is. Now we need to talk about why this part matters so much. Because at this stage, this is where many people get stuck. So they've become highly self aware, they're understanding their patterns, and they know where things are coming from. But their life still feels the same, and that can feel incredibly frustrating. Now, the brain learns through repetition. This is the psychology of change. Your nervous system learns through experience. So, whilst insight creates awareness, real change happens through repeated action. This is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new pathways through repeated experiences. It then forms different synapses and fires differently. Think about when a plant is growing new life. It takes the energy from its root system and it spurts off brand new growths out of different places where it can do. Now, if we're not using this within our brains, we can't shoot off in those different directions, and whichever way we focus and we channel and we pull the energy from is where we're going to see those patterns starting to form. So, if we're having challenges with our thought process and our mindset, synapses will fire off in those directions because that's where we're taking the energy from and drawing it from. When we draw from a positive energy source, something new, something different, something we're pushing and growing ourselves with, the synapses are going to fire differently and make different pathways. Like we said the other day, the reticular activating system, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So remember this, because this is how we are going to work with our neuroplasticity in our brain. Because understanding something once does not automatically change a deeply wired pattern, especially if that pattern has existed for years. And you return to your old patterns because your nervous system becomes activated and it automatically reaches for familiarity. Not because it's healthy, but because it's a known process and a known way of living. So in moments of stress, conflict, emotional discomfort, rejection, or vulnerability, you may still return to those previous behaviours of people pleasing, avoidance, shutting down, or over functioning, or even overthinking and self abandonment, because those responses were practiced repeatedly over time. Now, this can feel a bit discouraging because you might think, I should know better by now. But healing doesn't happen because you understand something intellectually. Healing happens when your body experiences something different repeatedly enough that it begins to feel safe. It takes practice, not perfection. The nervous system needs to see evidence. It doesn't change because of affirmations alone. It changes through this evidence. It sees something, evidence such as setting a boundary and surviving it, being visible and remaining safe, receiving support and not being rejected, or saying no and still being loved. These experiences slowly teach your brain, I no longer need to survive in these old patterns, and that's embodiment. This week matters because embodiment is something we're going to move forward with, because without it, we'll stay in the cycles of learning without integration, awareness without action, and insight without transformation. And eventually, that creates emotional exhaustion, because knowing what you should do while still feeling unable to do it can create shame. But this week, we're helping you to remove that shame because it reminds you that this is a nervous system process, not a personal failure. So, what's going to change through embodiment? Well, as you begin to embody this work, you will start to respond differently, automatically. You will trust yourself more consistently. You will stay regulated for longer, and you may even notice that actually you bounce back quicker. You will feel less controlled by old triggers and more emotionally grounded. And that's not because life has become perfect, but because your relationship with yourself has become safer and stronger. So this week we are shifting from I understand this work to I am living this work. And this is where the sustainable transformation happens. We all know that awareness begins the healing, but embodiment creates the change. So this week, you begin showing your nervous system that a new way of being is possible. not through pressure, but through repeated, intentional practice. Not only this is